A lone human commando assaults 500,000 alien mercenaries. Sergeant Gabriel Gordon, the last survivor of Earth's decimated defenses, infiltrates the Tok staging ground at the edge of the solar system. Mankind faces imminent annihilation. These ruthless invaders have already reduced Earth's cities to rubble and slaughtered billions. Motivated by vengeance and an iron will to protect his species, Gabriel forgoes warning the battered remnants of Earth's armies. Instead, he opts to delay the Tok assault single-handedly. He'll buy time for humanity's desperate final stand with guerrilla warfare, bleeding the enemy, spreading chaos through their ranks. Armed with cutting-edge stealth tech, Gabriel ghosts unseen into the heart of the alien camp. Gripped by grim resolve, he embarks on a campaign of sabotage and precision strikes, turning the mercenaries' overwhelming numbers against them. He rigs power cores to detonate, laces food supplies with lethal toxins, and picks off high-value targets with merciless efficiency. As an ever-growing trail of alien corpses marks Gabriel's progress, the enraged Tok commander, Hydrus, redirects more of his forces to stamp out this lone human assailant. Yet Gabriel remains a phantom, wreaking havoc with impunity, an army of one waging all-out war. Through skill, grit, and sheer force of will, one man stands against 500,000. This battle will echo through ages, an undying testament to humanity's relentless defiance in the face of extinction. Sergeant Gabriel Gordon fights on, buying Earth precious time with Tok blood. Knowing each hour may make the difference between mankind's survival and the death of his species. Gabriel moved like a wraith through the alien encampment, his nano-weave stealth suit rendering him all but invisible to the Tok's sophisticated sensors. He ghosted past patrols and sentry drones, his finely honed senses alert for any hint of detection. With each passing hour, Gabriel assembled a mental map of the enemy's defenses. He noted the positions of artillery batteries, the schedules of guard rotations, the locations of ammo dumps and power generators, weaknesses to be exploited, pressure points to strike at the optimum moment. On the third night, Gabriel made his move. He crept into the motor pool, planting shaped charges on the anti-grav engines of the Tok's heavy assault craft. The explosives were rigged to blow at dawn, crippling the aliens' aerial striking power in one fell swoop. An hour later, Gabriel infiltrated the base's primary armory. With practiced efficiency, he sabotaged the magnetic accelerator rifles, causing their power cells to overload and fuse, rendering them little more than awkward clubs. He melted into the shadows just as a squad of bleary-eyed mercenaries arrived to investigate the disturbance. Over the next week, Gabriel unleashed hell upon the alien invaders. Supply caches erupted in flames, comm relays shorted out in showers of sparks, and sentry guns swiveled to fire upon their own forces. High-value targets, veteran officers, ace pilots, elite commandos, fell to Gabriel's silenced railgun, their deaths sowing fear and confusion through the ranks. The Tok reeled, their rigid discipline crumbling in the face of Gabriel's unconventional onslaught. Hydrus, the invasion force's supreme commander, seethed with fury as reports of setbacks and losses flooded in. He redirected more troops to the fruitless hunt for the lone human assailant, unwittingly thinning his frontline forces. In the chaos of a raid on the base's power station, Gabriel found himself face-to-face with a young Tok officer named Zara. She leveled her sidearm at him, mandibles quivering with a mixture of fear and perseverance. In that instant, Gabriel saw the flicker of doubt in her compound eyes, the hesitation of one questioning the righteousness of their cause. Plasma fire scorched the air between them as a Tok gunship strafed the power station. Acting on pure instinct, Gabriel tackled Zara to the ground, shielding her with his own body as the generator exploded in a blinding flash of light. In the smoldering aftermath, they regarded each other warily, two enemies united by a moment of shared humanity. On Earth, the remnants of mankind watched with growing awe and disbelief as news of Gabriel's one-man war trickled in. In bunkers and hidden strongholds, ragged survivors gathered around flickering view screens, their gaunt faces illuminated by the grainy footage of alien installations burning, of Tok warriors fleeing in terror before an unseen assailant. General Avery Thorne, his once proud frame bowed by the weight of 1,000 defeats, felt a stirring of hope in his battle-scarred heart. He recognized the handiwork of his former protege, the indomitable spirit that had marked Gabriel as a warrior among warriors. With rekindled perseverance, Thorne rallied his remaining forces, preparing for the battle to come. As the days bled into weeks, Gabriel drove himself to the brink of human endurance. His body was a tapestry of bruises and half-healed wounds, his mind a whirlwind of grief and rage. The faces of his murdered wife and children haunted his dreams, their loss an unquenchable fire in his soul. But Gabriel refused to yield. He fought on, a ghost in the night, a legend whispered in fear by the enemy. With each small victory, each strike against the invaders, he bought Earth precious time to gather strength, to mount a last, desperate stand against the alien horde. As the Tok-Tok base burned and their morale crumbled, Gabriel prepared for his last attempt. He would strike at the heart of the enemy, a frontal assault on their command post, a suicide mission, a sacrificial play to break the invaders' spirit and open the door for Earth's counterstrike. Gabriel checked his weapons, whispered a prayer to absent gods, and steeled himself for the battle to come. In the distance, the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, a blood-red glow that mirrored the fire in his heart. The reckoning was at hand. Gabriel's muscles burned as he sprinted across the alien compound. Alarms blared, painting the pre-dawn sky with flashes of crimson. He vaulted over debris, ducked under low-hanging pipes, and wove through a maze of twisted metal, the aftermath of his week-long campaign of destruction. The command center loomed ahead, a towering monolith of dark alloys and pulsing energy fields. Gabriel's fingers danced across his forearm computer, bringing up schematics gleaned from countless hours of patient observation. He located a maintenance hatch, barely large enough for a human to squeeze through. As he worked to bypass the security protocols, plasma bolts sizzled past his head. A squad of Tok-Tok warriors had spotted him, their chitinous armor gleaming in the emergency lights. Gabriel returned fire, his railgun spitting hypersonic slugs with deadly precision. 3 aliens fell, their exoskeletons shattered. The hatch hissed open. Gabriel slipped inside, sealing it behind him. He found himself in a narrow service corridor, the walls thrumming with the power coursing through the facility. Moving swiftly, he planted shaped charges at key junctures, each one carefully positioned to bring the entire structure crashing down when detonated. Gabriel emerged into a vast atrium, his stealth suit adapting to blend with the surroundings. Tok-Tok officers rushed about in controlled panic, barking orders into communication devices. A familiar figure caught his eye, Zara, the young officer he had saved during the power station raid. She stood apart from the chaos, her compound eyes scanning the room with a mix of wariness and willpower. Their gazes locked. For a heartbeat, Gabriel tensed, ready to dispatch another enemy. But Zara made no move to raise the alarm. Instead, she subtly gestured towards a heavily guarded corridor. "The central command is through there," she subvocalized, the words appearing as text on Gabriel's heads-up display. "Hydrus and his inner circle are coordinating the final assault on Earth." Gabriel nodded almost imperceptibly. "Why are you helping me?" Zara's mandibles twitched in what might have been a grimace. "This war, it's wrong. We were told humans were savages, but I've seen the truth. The atrocities we've committed, I can't be part of it anymore." A klaxon sounded, drawing the attention of the guards. Gabriel seized the moment, sprinting for the corridor. Zara fell in beside him, her plasma pistol barking as she laid down covering fire. They fought their way through waves of elite Tok-Tok warriors, Gabriel's human agility complementing Zara's insider knowledge of Tok-Tok tactics. They reached the command center's blast doors, slick with the ichor of fallen aliens. "Let me," Zara said, interfacing with the security panel. The massive doors began to slide open. A bolt of superheated plasma struck Zara in the abdomen, punching through her armor. She stumbled, mandibles clicking in pain. Gabriel caught her, dragging her behind cover as the air filled with weapons fire. In the center of the room stood Hydrus, the Tok-Tok's supreme commander. His massive frame dwarfed his lieutenant's, cybernetic enhancements glinting beneath his carapace. "So the human vermin reveals himself at last," Hydrus boomed, his translated voice dripping with contempt. Gabriel's reply came in the form of a precisely aimed shot that dropped two of Hydrus's guards. The room erupted into chaos. Zara, despite her grievous wound, managed to crawl to a bank of computers. With the last of her strength, she initiated a cascade failure in the Tok-Tok communication array. Screens flickered and died as the invaders lost contact with their forces across the solar system. Hydrus roared in fury, charging at Gabriel with inhuman speed. They collided in a flurry of blows, the human's combat-honed reflexes tested against the alien's augmented strength. Gabriel's ribs cracked under a mammoth punch, but he countered with a nerve strike that momentarily paralyzed Hydrus's left arm. They grappled at the edge of a precipice, the command center's reactor core pulsing beneath them. Gabriel's muscles screamed as he held Hydrus at bay, searching for an opening. The alien commander's mandibles spread wide, preparing to deliver a killing blow with their razor-sharp edges. In that moment, Gabriel saw his chance. He triggered the detonator for his planted explosives. The command center shuddered as charges blew throughout its superstructure. Hydrus faltered, his balance thrown off by the tremors. Gabriel seized the advantage. He hooked a leg behind Hydrus's knee and twisted with all his might. They toppled over the edge together, plummeting towards the swirling energy of the reactor core. As they fell, Gabriel activated his suit's grappling system. A carbon fiber line shot out, wrapping around a support beam. He swung in a wide arc, slamming Hydrus into the reactor's containment field. The alien's cybernetics sparked and shorted as he was caught in the field's crushing grip. Gabriel released the line, dropping to a catwalk below. He looked up to see Hydrus's form disintegrating in the pulsing energy, the Tok-Tok commander's final roar lost in the rising whine of overloading systems. Limping badly, Gabriel made his way back to where Zara lay. The young Tok-Tok's eyes were dimming, life ebbing from her grievous wounds. He cradled her head gently, recognizing the enormity of her sacrifice. "Was it enough?" Zara managed, her translator struggling to convey her words. Gabriel nodded solemnly. "You've given Earth a fighting chance. Rest now, warrior." Zara's eyes closed for the final time as the command center began to collapse around them. Gabriel rose unsteadily to his feet, looking out through a rent in the hull at the distant blue marble of Earth. The Tok-Tok invasion force was in disarray, their command structure shattered. But Gabriel harbored no illusions. This was a pivotal moment, not an end to the conflict. As chunks of debris rained down and fires spread unchecked, he keyed his long-range communicator. It was time to rally Earth's remaining defenders for the counterattack. The real test of humanity's dedication was just beginning. Test of humanity's. Gabriel's message crackled through comm channels across Earth, his voice raw with exhaustion but burning with purpose. "Command center down. Tok-Tok leadership in disarray. Now's our chance." General Thorne's weathered face lit up with grim satisfaction. He turned to his assembled officers, a fire rekindling in his eyes. "You heard the man. Let's show these bastards what humanity can do." Within hours, Earth's remaining military forces mobilized for a counteroffensive. Troops poured out of hidden bunkers, resistance cells emerged from the shadows, and mothballed vehicles roared to life. The human army was a patchwork force, battered, under-equipped, but fueled by an unquenchable will to survive. Thorne's command center buzzed with activity as he pored over the intelligence Gabriel had painstakingly gathered. "Here," he pointed to a holographic map, "and here, their supply lines are stretched thin. We hit these points, we can cripple their ability to respond." Across the globe, humanity struck back. In the ruins of major cities, guerrilla fighters ambushed Tok-Tok patrols. Makeshift artillery hammered alien strongholds. Hijacked dropships rained salvaged plasma bombs on enemy formations. Gabriel found himself thrust into the heart of the largest offensive. He led a strike team through the labyrinthine tunnels beneath a Tok-Tok fortress, using his intimate knowledge of their defenses to bypass security measures. As they emerged into the base proper, the air filled with the screech of alarms and the staccato rhythm of weapons fire. Push forward, Gabriel shouted, his railgun spitting hypervelocity rounds that punched through Tok armor seamlessly. His team followed, a mix of grizzled veterans and fresh-faced recruits who looked at him with a mix of awe and fear. They fought their way to the command center, only to find it already in chaos. A group of Tok warriors were engaged in a firefight with their own kind. One of the rebels turned to Gabriel, mandibles clicking in what might have been relief. "You're the human they call Gabriel? We fight with you now." Before Gabriel could respond, a massive explosion rocked the base. Through the shattered viewports, he saw a Tok dreadnought listing in the sky, smoke billowing from its hull. Earth's reclaimed fighter jets swarmed around it like angry hornets. His comm unit crackled to life. "Gabriel, this is Thorn. We're making progress, but Hydrus is rallying his loyalists. He's unleashing everything he's got." As if on cue, the ground shook with the impact of heavy weaponry. Gabriel sprinted to a tactical display, his blood running cold at what he saw. Columns of Tok shock troops were advancing, their bodies twisted by cybernetic augmentations into monstrous shapes. "All units, fall back to defensive positions," Gabriel ordered. "They're throwing everything at us now." The battle devolved into a brutal slugfest. Human ingenuity and desperation clashed against Tok technology and inhuman strength. Cities became infernos as plasma weapons ignited entire blocks. The countryside was scarred by artillery fire and makeshift minefields. Gabriel found himself fighting alongside unlikely allies. Tok, dissidents who had seen the truth of their leaders' lies, fought with the fury of the betrayed. He watched as one such warrior, her carapace painted with symbols of rebellion, tackled a cybernetically enhanced loyalist, buying time for a group of human soldiers to reach cover. As the tide of battle ebbed and flowed, Gabriel received a transmission that chilled him to the bone. Thorn's voice, usually so steady, was permeated with pain and urgency. "Gabriel, Hydrus's guards, they've got me. Don't let this be for nothing." Without hesitation, Gabriel assembled a strike team. "We're going after the general," he announced, his voice brooking no argument. "Who's with me?" They plunged into the heart of Tok-controlled territory, fighting through waves of fanatically loyal defenders. Gabriel's suit was scorched and battered, his body pushed beyond normal human limits. But he pressed on, driven by a mix of duty and the need to save the man who had been like a father to him. As they neared Hydrus's last known position, Gabriel caught sight of a familiar figure. The Tok Supreme Commander stood atop a half-destroyed building, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming in the harsh light of the burning city. "So, the human vermin returns," Hydrus's voice boomed across the battlefield. "Come then, let us end this." Gabriel charged forward, dodging plasma bolts and leaping over debris. He collided with Hydrus in a fury of blows, their final confrontation beginning amidst the chaos of the larger war. Battle. The clash of metal on carapace echoed across the ruined cityscape as Gabriel and Hydrus engaged in their final, brutal confrontation. Gabriel's muscles screamed in protest as he deflected another of Hydrus's devastating blows. The Tok commander's cybernetic enhancements gave him inhuman strength, but Gabriel's combat-honed reflexes kept him one step ahead. A lucky strike sent Gabriel stumbling backwards. Hydrus pressed his advantage, mandibles spread wide in anticipation of victory. "Your species ends here, human," he snarled. Gabriel's hand closed around a jagged piece of rebar. As Hydrus lunged, Gabriel drove the improvised weapon up and through a gap in the alien's armor. Hydrus's roar of pain turned to a gurgle as vital fluids leaked from the wound. The Tok commander's massive frame crashed to the ground. Gabriel stood over his fallen foe, chest heaving. He raised his railgun, prepared to deliver the final blow. But no shot came. Gabriel lowered his weapon, a bone-deep weariness settling over him. He turned away from Hydrus's twitching form, surveying the carnage that stretched as far as the eye could see. The city burned. Broken Tok war machines lay scattered among the rubble of human structures. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of plasma discharge. A ragged cheer went up from the human forces as they realized their victory. Soldiers embraced, their faces streaked with grime and tears. But Gabriel felt no elation, only a crushing exhaustion that seemed to weigh down his very soul. General Thorne approached, his grizzled features a mix of awe and concern. Without a word, he pulled Gabriel into a fierce embrace. Gabriel stiffened for a moment before returning the gesture, allowing himself this brief moment of human connection. When they separated, Thorne's eyes shone with unshed tears. "There's no way to truly express what you've done, son," he said, his voice rough with emotion. Gabriel nodded, unable to find words. His gaze drifted to the horizon, where the ruins of the Tok Command Center still smoldered. A flicker of movement caught his eye. There, emerging from the wreckage like a phoenix from the ashes, was a familiar figure. Zara, the young Tok officer who had aided him in his final assault, somehow still alive. Gabriel took a halting step forward, then another. His body protested every movement, but he pressed on. Zara's compound eyes widened as she saw him approach. Her hand twitched towards her sidearm before falling limply to her side. They stood facing each other, separated by mere meters and in gulf of interstellar conflict. Zara's once proud posture was now bent with exhaustion and defeat. Gabriel saw in her eyes the same haunted look he knew must be reflected in his own. He sank to his knees before her, strength finally giving out. Zara tensed, mandibles clicking nervously. Gabriel extended a hand, his armor stained with blood, both human and alien. "Surrender," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Tears welled in Zara's eyes as she slowly nodded. She unclipped her weapon and let it fall to the ground. As Earth's soldiers moved to secure her, Gabriel remained where he was, staring at the horizon. The war was over, but as Gabriel knelt there, surrounded by the detritus of apocalyptic conflict, he knew that the real challenge was only just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.